Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Guest and Gusto, SCAD's virtual series of conversations and digital content with the creators and innovators remaking culture. I'm Carmela Spinelli, SCAD fashion historian, and I'm really happy to introduce Christian Siriano. Christian is an extraordinary designer, both of fashion and now interiors. As Tim Gunn once said, called him a design prodigy, and a member of the Council of Fashion Designers of America. He burst onto the fashion scene in 2008 as the youngest winner of Project Runway, and I would say the most successful to date. During the past decade, he has established a flourishing fashion house and has dressed countless celebrities and admirers, including Cardi B, Leslie Jones, Ashley Graham, Chrissy Metz, and Billy Porter, Michelle Obama, and our new First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden. In response to the global pandemic, Christian quickly mobilized his sewing team of couture sewers to produce thousands of PPE masks for first responders in New York City. His efforts were reported widely and inspired many to take action. Today, we're going to talk with him about his body positive, inclusive approach to fashion, how he integrates social responsibility into his highly successful business model, as well as his new endeavor, Siriano Interiors. So we're gonna have a poll. Now's the time for our poll question that Alex is gonna launch for us. Today, you will have a chance to win a copy of Dresses to Dream About, which is his 10-year anniversary book of magnificent dresses to dream about. So let's see, which is your favorite? Yes.
Excuse me, for some reason the poll is not launching, but go ahead and just if you'll read the poll, I'll go through afterwards. Okay. and select somebody for the book.
Okay, so who's your favorite Christian Siriano look? I'm gonna name 4. Billy Porter, 2019 Academy Awards.
Is that the poll?
2020 Grammy Awards. Janelle Monáe, 2019 Met Gala. Michelle Obama, oh my God, this is so hard. 2016 DNC. So Alex, you've got to tell me who comes up. I have a guess, but.
I just asked everybody.
Conversation, I think it's like, oh my goodness. After the conversation, we'll have a brief moment to ask Christian a few questions. And we are going to start right now. Welcome back, Christian Siriano. You have been to SCAD before.
Yeah, I've been to SCAD.
So what was that experience like?
Amazing. I mean, I love, obviously, Savannah is very inspiring, very beautiful place. Or if you're, what do you guys have? The Atlanta as well, and been to both, and it was great. I think I learned a lot from a lot of the different designers that were working. I was acting as a mentor there, and it was great. It was really cool to be around like other creatives that are really passionate about their work. So yeah, we had a good time. I think there was some great talent in the school, so it's nice to see.
So talking about being around other creatives, I'm just going to mention this briefly because I really want to talk about the trajectory of your career.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about you going to London to study and what you did in London and who you interned for.
Yeah. I mean, the idea of going to London in the first place was really because I wanted something different. And I think we all sometimes thrive for that. Like when you grow up in one place and you're like, I really want to leave and go somewhere else. We all have that feeling. And I think that that's what it was. So, London for me was that trip. And it was a great experience. I was able to be really creative and expressive, and I got to work with great brands, just as a little intern, but it was a great experience. Nonetheless, I would definitely say that that's a big part of the learning process, like being around other designers and seeing how they create is really special and really unique. So I definitely recommend that. But yeah, so I think it just helped me, push my kind of ideas and boundaries that were kind of no limits. And I think that that's really important in fashion, especially right now. It's kind of like the fantasy dream world of fashion, I think, is just even more important, because you can always go down from there. But I definitely think this idea of ideas are so important. Like, where are the ideas? Where's the interest? Even if you're not the best sewer or, you know, pattern maker, whatever, I think if the ideas are there, I think that's very important.
So I read a quote that you said something about working in Alexander McQueen's studio, and that you'd like to base your studio on that hands-on approach. What does that mean?
Yeah, I just think like it's, you know, I wouldn't want anybody that, you know, worked in this type of environment or like worked in the office. I want people to like feel like they're part of the creative process in some way. I wouldn't want to just sit somebody at a desk like, you know, cutting swatches all day. I don't think that's helping anybody. So because I've had that internship and jobs like that as well. So I think the idea with my team is that everybody's pretty much involved in everything. And that can be from the PR person to the sales director to, you know, the pattern maker. Everybody's kind of somewhat in the process of doing interesting things.
So you really kind of build this family culture. Everybody's participating and feels part of it, which is really important, because the fashion industry is not particularly known for that kind of environment where it's a happiness environment, family environment. It's another quote that I really love what you said is that we shouldn't be judging each other so harshly, which is what the industry is so known for. Tell us where that comment came from.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think the industry is, you know, it can be quite annoying at times. I think now what's great is you just have to kind of pave your own way. You have to do what you love, what you wake up every morning and like want to do. I sometimes think that that's just worth more. It's, you know, if you have a small little business that's you love and it's creating clothes or whatever it is, and it's working for you, and then that means you're successful and you're doing great. Like, I think that's kind of the misconception now, that you have to have so many different things to be a successful kind of like brand or business, or so I wouldn't want people to feel like overwhelmed with that idea, because the industry is really hard. It can be super you know, stressful every day, and it's really, honestly, the stress is the logistics of running the business, of dealing with all of the very annoying things that you don't want to deal with, which is why, like, you know, we are a family here at my office, but I want to murder all of them every day, because you get really close to your people, and then, you know, you talk to them.
I'm gonna kill you right now.
Literally, you talk to them like you're obviously, we're all friends, and I love the people that I work with, but at the end of the day, like, it is a job. Like, we are, you know, here to make money and build a business, and unfortunately that's how, you know, it works. But it's always hard. Any creative job is very hard to explain to people. I'm sure everybody here understands that, you know, it's just not the same as sitting in an office every day. So it's your mind, you know, thinks about it differently. Your challenges are just totally different. So I feel for everyone who probably is going through that, but I think what's great is at least you get to create and do what you love. And that's a really great thing.
So I just want to mention this briefly, because I know you've taken it out of your bio. I want to talk about Project Runway for just 1 minute, because here you are, 2008, and you decide to go and participate in this contest, and you win. And then you go out into the industry. How did you think that it was going to be easy? What was that experience like for you? Because here you are, you start your own business. Did you have, this actually a two-part question. The first part is, did you have a business counterpart, sort of like Tom Ford's Domenico De Sole or Pierre Berger's to Saint Laurent? Did you have that? And then what was it like for you when Project Runway was over? There you were, and what was your experience like being in the industry now?
Yeah, I mean, a lot. You know, after that experience, it was kind of like there was a lot of things, you know, to figure out. You know, I won a show that was really great. It was, you know, really interesting, very strange for that time. It was a very pop culture time. That was when a lot of things just had happened. Twitter just launched in 2008. The Kardashians just launched. Like, it was so many things were just happening. The iPhone had just started. Like, it was just such a new cultural world. So it was a really big time for, I think, for me differently, because I was able to launch a brand under my own name. And I was like, okay, do I either go get a job after Project Runway, which that would have been great, or do I actually try to make my own label succeed? And I was really torn, but I really realized that I was like, I think I want to try. I think this is my opportunity. And if it doesn't work out, I can go get a job. Like, I'm a really good designer. I can get a job hopefully anywhere. And that was the idea. So I was like, okay, well, and then the first collection happened, and I was like, okay, we're kind of doing it. Then the next collection, and it just slowly started happening. But I had a business manager pretty early on, kind of like an agent manager, someone who had been in the business a long time, who was really helpful. We didn't always agree, but I thought she was really smart and super savvy. And then that kind of led to other people. It led to agents. It led to a publicist like Bianca, who you see in the corner. I don't know if you can see it. She doesn't want to show her face. She doesn't want to show her face. I'm just kidding. No, but that led to a lot of different people that were able to kind of help all the different things. But to be honest, at the end of the day, really what started, I think, building the business was the clothes being interesting or special enough for people to react to them. So that's why we were getting red carpet all the time, because I was making clothes that people wanted to wear on the red carpet. I didn't know that at the time. I was like, who wants, like, somebody wants to wear this? I didn't even think about that. That wasn't the goal. The goal was to like sell clothes.
Right.
And then I would make these huge evening gowns, and I was like, oh, no one's going to buy these. And then all of a sudden, all the Middle Eastern stores wanted to buy them. So we were like, now we have a multi-million-dollar business in the Middle East. Who knew that even exists? So it really is kind of a trial and error in the beginning. And I think that about Project Runway, and I think about how that show can be amazing and how it can be a detriment, is like, afterward, like, if you don't really, really work hard as a designer, as a brand, and follow those kind of that process, it'll never happen, because it's really hard. So you have to kind of you have to humble yourself a little bit and like be like, okay, if this doesn't work, like, what can I do next? And I think that that's what I did. And I think that's like the only way you can survive from that experience.
I think what you also did was very early on, before it was woke, you used inclusivity. You used plus size girls. You used women of color. So do you think maybe being in London and having that separation from the US, I'm going to call them fashion dictators, did that allow you to have some freedom to choose those kind of girls? Even the celebrities, tell us about those choices, but you made them early on.
I mean, a little bit. I will say it's actually kind of funny that I think that it kind of happened, because actually being in Europe was kind of a challenge, because we only used at McQueen like the waviest girls ever, and they were all pale blondes and like, you know, maybe Naomi, and that's it. But that was so interesting to see that difference. But I guess I never really thought about it. I just really, really approached it as, okay, if I'm gonna start a business and I'm gonna have a brand, like, what type of people do I want to buy the clothes? And my answer never was, oh, I want this like really cool girl that like lives downtown. Like, that was just never there. I like her and I'm friends with her and I would love her to buy the clothes, but she's not my goal. My goal literally was, I want every woman to buy something. So if you want every person to be a owner of something, then you have to be open to them. So that was really what it was. I want someone like my mom, who's a curvy woman, someone like my sister, who's super skinny, someone like my cool friends that like I lived with in London. I want all of them to buy something from our brand. So that's the tall challenge.
That is a tall challenge. So
that's a tall
how did
challenge.
you do that?
I literally just started making clothes for those type of people. So that's what it was. Like, I wouldn't say no to certain people dressing them on the red carpet, like, because I was like, oh, if I dress her, like, I think a lot of girls would like look up to her. She's really cool and has a great body. Like, why not? Okay. And then I'll also dress this girl because she's really cool and she has a totally different type of fan base. Like, I mean, I think one day I dressed like, it was like 1 week I dressed Jessica Lange, Nicki Minaj, Katy Perry, and Goldie Hawn, all in 1 week. They are the most random.
That's amazing.
They make no sense in any way. And a lot of people would be like, oh, that's not branding, that's not blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, no, because it is, because I was able to build all those customers and the clothes are still kind of the same. I mean, actually Goldie and Nicki like look was kind of similar. Like, so I think that was the idea there.
That's kind of unique for designers, wouldn't you say? Because when you say the powers that be, or whoever those people are, when you say they wanted me to, that is what is, I think, so beautiful about what you do, is because of that. And I'm going to refer to the Leslie Jones story, that she's now in Ghostbusters, fabulous, beautiful, tall. She's probably plus size, woman of color, hysterically funny, got this premiere and nobody wants to dress her. So she sends out an Instagram message and your response was so cute. You like have this little raising your hands. Tell us that story, because it's a wonderful story.
Yeah, I think, that idea with Leslie, I love SNL. I loved her. I thought she was hilarious and funny. I'm a big fan of dressing people that I am a fan of. So, and they're weird. They're sometimes random, which I like. And I think with Leslie, I was like, oh, well, I would love to dress her just because I love Leslie. So that was the idea. I never even thought about actually anything else other than that. And I think that that's the biggest goal for everyone. Is to just be
just gorgeous. And
just be open-minded. And we wanted to like give her her pretty woman moment where, we're in Pretty Woman, they didn't want to let her shop. And, this is the idea that at the end of the day, like, I don't think anybody should be like, so, I mean, these are clothes, they're dresses. Like, I think sometimes they can get a little too serious. So I'm like, we're not curing cancer here. Like, it's a dress. Like, we have to like put that wall down a little bit. And I think, there's certain things and extent that you can, they're creative in their artistic expression, but like, it's just a dress. It's not going to hurt anybody, So I think that that's how I approach it.
And we're going to take a look at some of the other celebrities that you've dressed with, some images that you could comment on. But let's talk about the pandemic pivot. So March comes, all hell breaks loose. The governor of New York calls out and says, I remember him with the mask and saying, you're going to tell me nobody can make these? Tell us about your response to that.
Yeah. That was a very like visceral response. It was just a really reactionary, which is kind of how I roll, just in the moment. That was it. I think in that moment when, he was on TV every day and we were watching him and he was saying that no product, like we don't make product here in America. We don't make product in New York City. Like, I thought that was very strange. So that was the reaction. The reaction literally was like, okay, well, we make things. We have a little mini factory. What could we do in some way? Or even if it was much smaller than what happened, but I never expected him to respond so quickly and so fast. And to be honest, once he responded in literally 10 minutes, then the goal was, oh, I don't want to let him down,
right, or
let like the people that I just said I would help let down. And that's where I always get into trouble. So then it's like, okay, you have to follow through. I think I know a lot of brands and a lot of designers and a lot of people in fashion that say a lot of things, but they don't actually do anything. So, and I think that And one day when you read my tell-all book, it's really good.
When is that coming out?
Well, I have to be really old and almost dying because people will hate me. But like there was, and I think that was what it was. I just didn't want to let him down. I didn't want to, and I felt like, okay, well, let's make stuff. Then it was kind of a goal for ourselves. I was like, well, if we can make 1,000, okay, can we make 5,000? And my studio was like so mad at me. And I'm like, well, then can we make 10,000? Like, how quickly can we make? Like, so then it was kind of like, oh, I think we can do a lot. And then it just like kept going, and and it kept the business. It kept my ladies like up and running, which was really amazing. Like I have my ladies all have children and like go home and like need a paycheck. All the women who sew in my office, I say ladies because I don't have any male employees. Everyone in my office is a woman. So that was what happened. And I think, we're really proud. We're really glad that we did it. I will say, I mean, I'm definitely sick of making a square mask because it's really quite.
Are you still making them? Is it still happening?
No, but
Well, you have the
it's really funny. Actually, the other day we've had nurses reach out in little hospitals and little places saying the problem with the disposable masks and the N95s are still the case where it's a lot of waste. You're just throwing them away. And I think there's still people looking for a washable alternative, and that's what ours are.
Right.
And I think that's a really that will be next year's goal, like, because we definitely have a massive consumption problem now that we need to figure out what to do with. All those masks, will be, where are they going? So that's a whole nother day. That's a whole nother day.
Well, talk about waste. You used another part of your pandemic pivot was to use the fabric that you already had.
Yeah.
And so because the sourcing had changed, tell us about that, because I think, and I want your comment on this, why do we need to keep changing fabric so much, which puts stress on the environment?
Yeah, I definitely think about that a lot. So I think it helps a lot of things, because I think, we were like, okay, we have to do a pre-fall collection of some kind, because otherwise, what am I doing? I'm sitting around. So I felt like, okay, well, what do we have that Italy is closed, so I can't get any fabric anyway. So that wasn't helping us. All of Europe, we get all of our fabrics from Italy and France, and they were a very small capacity. I'm dealing that with our shoes right now that we're making in Italy, and we're like, hopefully we get them. But yeah, so the idea there was, I was like, we have so much fabric in this office, it's like insane. And we have so many clothes that never ever got to see the light of day. Like I had that, one of the looks was something I made for Janelle that was so expensive and time consuming. This was a Janelle Monáe's second look for the Met. And I was like, well, we're going to use this outfit. It's fabulous. Like what else? We're throwing it in a box? Like, that's not fair. So that was the whole idea of the collection, that everything was like reused. And to be honest, sometimes when you are scrappy like that, you're more creative.
I really love that.
Yeah, I think that's like, I think a lot of designers, like if you don't have a lot, make what you have. It's sometimes the clothes are cooler, I think. More interesting.
That's wonderful. That's great advice too. And any of that part of Collection 37, talk about that beautiful show that you did out in your house.
Yeah.
That was important for you to have a live show.
Well, yeah, and that collection, we had already started the fabrics kind of January, February, before the pandemic had already happened. So luckily, I had something to do for September. And I was adamant about doing a live show because my clothes need to be in that. That's how I like to show them. It's like telling an artist, oh, sorry, like we can never show your work in a gallery ever again. That's just not possible. Like, no, like, I don't think people, it's just too hard. And I think so that was my challenge. I was like, please don't tell me I can't do anything. So all the red carpets are gone. So that's out. No fashion week, no anything, no films, nothing. I couldn't make anything. So that was why I was like, we're doing it in my backyard. Good luck.
Did you ever expect any of those looks to go into the pool?
I didn't actually think about it. And then when Coco was like, I should get in the pool, and I was like, yeah, but I didn't really actually think she would. So it was fun though.
She went in the water.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your house now. I want to pivot a little bit to your interiors. So you have this extremely minimal, modern house, which is really the antithesis of what your clothes are.
Yeah.
So I want to know all that. Tell us the trajectory of going into interiors, your Lula settee, your Lola sofa,
Yeah.
all this. I want to know about all this because it's just, you're such a creative that there's nothing I feel that you can't tackle.
Yeah, I think I have a big imagination, and I'm always like wanting to create. So, and I think I was at home so much, and I already have kind of entered in the home space a little bit because I have bedding and linens, and we sell those at a lot of different stores, and that's been going on for a few years, and I do rugs. And so I was like, okay, well, how do we make it a bigger business? And how do we do something that I personally just love to do? I love furniture design. I love antiques. I love art. I love finding young artists. I love all those things. So how can I put that into someone else's home that they can love too? So that was the idea. And it's been a blast. We started really small. I just started getting little projects, and it's growing, and furniture design is going to be bigger. I'm going to launch like a full furniture collection really soon.
Wonderful.
And I love it. I honestly, it's just a hobby that I mean, it's an expensive hobby, but I really love doing it. Because sometimes clothes can get, it can get hard because I do it every day, all day. So that is my outlet.
So it's a break for you then to do something else.
Yeah, it's a little break.
And
Yeah.
do you recommend that for our student designers? Maybe they hit a block or something. It's like, go design something else. Go look at furniture, go look at cars, look at some other things for you to go get out of the inspiration from.
Yeah, I do. And I do think that literally anything really can give you ideas. I mean, literally, like, I think the ceiling in a building can like be a whole collection. Like, I think you can, if you have imagination, you can make anything out of anything because there are no rules. That's what's great about being a designer. Like, and I don't want anybody to ever say that this can't be, because why? Who's the gatekeeper? There is none. So that's what's so great right now, especially. Anything can inspire a full collection, and it can all be from your head. Oh, I don't know, like this chair. I love this chair, and this chair kind of looked like a gown, and then it kind of turned into a skirt, and like, but who knows? That's not really true, but that's okay. Like, that's okay. It's because it's in your mind. It's in your
and
head.
furniture doesn't move as fast as fashion does, and it's much. Talking about a pandemic and how it has forced the industry to really evaluate the pace of change. And, Alessandra Michele decided 2 shows a year. So how do you feel about that? Are you going to continue to do all those collections, or has this made you rethink the whole process for you?
It's a mix. I mean, I definitely have it's a crazy change up. I have a lot of thoughts. I can't tell yet, because as much as like the pace can be slower and less, I do think less is important. Like, we don't need hundreds of items every day. We don't need stores that are selling 10,000 sweaters. We definitely don't need that. But I do think that, but I think for someone who's really creative, I don't think there should be I don't necessarily think there should be a block on that. I don't think someone should say, oh, you shouldn't make stuff, or you shouldn't do anything because. So I think that that's where I am right now. Like, well, when I go home at night, like, I have ideas, and I would like to bring them to life because that's what makes me feel good. So that's why I do it.
And so your sustainability,
there you go.
Talking about sustainability for you, how does that factor into your business?
Yeah, I think it's pretty important still. I think it's like, luckily my team is very small. We work on a very low carbon footprint kind of business in general, because we make almost everything in-house. We don't have a big, huge production facility outside of New York. We use very small production. I don't over-order anything. Trust me, I wish I did some days, because like we have enough fabric to make just what we get made. So that's how I do it as best we can. So I'm not a big weight, like at the end of the season, people are like, oh, don't you have a ton of stock left over? And I'm like, no, I don't produce an extra 10,000 pieces as it's so wasteful. So that's how I try.
That's more and more that what we're hearing. And I think that's really good.
Yeah.
And talk to me about fast fashion and buying, there's this now movement. I mean, it's been for a long time, but for people to look at quality, to buy quality.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you, because there's a lot of young people out here. There's a lot of students here. They love to go fast fashion. It looks good. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
How do we teach them what quality is? They have to see it. So that's a challenge that I've asked some of the industry people. How do we teach quality?
I know it is such a challenge. I think for what I have found, the only way to really teach somebody is starting with the actual feel and fabrication. It's all that you can really visually do, which is why, one sweater is X dollars and the next sweater is not. So it's just, and I think that that's the only way to really figure it out. Because that's kind of like with my clothes, like not all of my clothes are the most interesting pattern necessarily, but the fabric is what makes it shine. What's the star, or the texture, or the manipulation. That's what it is. And fast fashion is hard. I understand it, because I understand a budget is a big concern for most people shopping. You want this really cool sweater because it's $20. And I get that, because you have $20. So the challenge is how to like slowly balance that, and save a little bit to try to buy the $200 item that might be more special and more interesting down the road.
That will last longer.
That will last, and because otherwise we really are just throwing away your clothes pretty quickly. It's cute, but they just don't last that long, sadly.
So let's talk about lasting images. Alex, we're gonna have you pull up the images of some of Christian's fabulous ladies. And there you go. So we're gonna show you an image and then you comment.
Okay. This was a hilarious. InStyle magazine wanted to do like a poker game with like all of my girls. So it's Alicia Silverstone, Deborah Messing, Kate Mara, Laverne, Christina Hendricks, and Leslie. And we also had Juliette Lewis and Selma Blair and Sia. It was amazing. But it was so much fun because they were all together all day. A lot of personalities.
I'm going to say that.
Let me tell you, they all had their opinions. But I will say they all trusted me, and we picked very quickly, and it was the best day. I want to do another shoot like this because it was amazing.
That's great.
Yeah.
That sounds like, okay, this one.
Michelle Obama.
I don't know what to say about this one. It's just like
amazing.
Obama Blue.
Yeah, Obama Blue. This was just a great moment. I really didn't know it was even happening. It was such a great, iconic thing. I mean, I'm a young designer, so I'm 35 and I have already dressed multiple first ladies. So for me,
fantastic.
I'm good. I feel really proud and
wonderful.
It's
yes,
nice.
And they will be in a museum.
I hope one day, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next one is up. There it is. There she is.
Janelle. Janelle is amazing because Janelle is so special because she will really take she will go with it. If you give her what it is, she is so committed. She's like a character actress. She literally is like, I want to be a painting walking around. I'm like, okay, a walking Picasso painting. And
how did she keep that hat on? There's like 17 hats there. What is there? 4 or 5 hats?
Very hard to balance. The hat designer that we worked with, it was a challenge, but
Fabulous.
She actually said, actually, what's really funny is at the end of the night, her head didn't really hurt. She said, she goes, it was okay.
But her neck had to keep her straight. It's really great.
Yeah, but Janelle has a very interesting presence. She's not really like, she's a very stoic person already. So I think it was easy for her. And she also in the one dress, in this, she's just wearing like a little single sole shoe. In the other dress, she's wearing a platform shoe about this high. So
Wow.
you can't see it, but I don't know how she did it, but that is talent.
So where is that now? That piece now?
Well, we're actually shooting a new book, and that's being shot right now. So
that's wonderful.
Great. Yeah.
Okay, next one is,
Billy B.
This is.
Yeah, so Billy, I mean, I love this look, all velvet. It was actually four pieces because it was a tuxedo jacket, the blouse, the gown, and a pair of pants underneath. So he actually took the gown off and wore it as a kind of more classic tuxedo when he was on the podium because there wasn't enough room for the dress. But an amazing.
How many yards of fabric, Christian?
Yeah, it's
and that skirt.
It's a big skirt, Lord.
And how did you keep it so full underneath the foundation? Underneath there's got to be.
There's a big crinoline under there, and it was heavy. It was heavy, but Billy was strong, and he, knew that he had to work it, and he had his moment.
It's fantastic. It's gorgeous. Yeah. Okay, we have one more. Is this our last one? Love this one too.
Yeah, Lizzo won her first Grammys in this dress, which is really
really
cool.
Exciting.
Yeah,
it's exciting because it's amazing. Beautiful, and this is plus size elegance.
Yeah. Totally. Oh, she wanted to look like a queen, and that was the idea. And we made her. It was a fully velvet, crystal embellished dress, and
gorgeous.
It looked amazing. And then when she went out on stage to get her Grammy, it sparkled. It was like such a real moment. Very beautiful.
It's wonderful. And do we have one more, Alex? We do. And there you are making fuchsia masks.
My mask life.
It's really a beautiful thing what you did. So I think it's question time.
Cool.
It's question time, and we have a special guest. Is she here, Alex?
Who's asking?
She is.
We have Kate, who won your remote red carpet, and she's going to ask you the first question, and she will unmute herself and show herself to us on camera.
Hey, Christian.
Oh, hey. How are you?
I'm good. I don't know if you remember me, but I was on your virtual red carpet a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I loved all your pieces. Your acrylic stuff was so cool, and everything was great.
Thanks.
How are you doing? Did you get your laptop yet?
Yeah, I actually just got it the other day. I still need
to
unbox it and stuff.
Great. It's actually really nice. It really works like a kind of like a tablet. It's great.
Yeah, I like that it flips over. I'm excited.
Exactly.
So you spoke earlier about kind of like how you started your own brand, but what would be like your best advice for someone wanting to initially start creating their own brand, or is there something you would maybe do differently if you did it all over again?
I think there's a lot of ways you can like kind of go about it. I really think that because in a way, like all of us are really fortunate to have the world of social media, even though can be the worst. But you can really, really build a business. And I think like if you're able to focus on that, writing back to your customers, and I think it's about a little bit smoke and mirrors. You kind of have to like pretend that the business is bigger than it is when you're ready to launch. Making sure you have full like collection and line sheets and pricing, like what would this cost you? What, to make all of those things, because that's when you're able to kind of really ramp it quickly. And I think that that's like a very important part of it. And I think, you have to invest a little bit in yourself too. Like in the beginning, like you have to have like great photos and, making sure that you're making a diverse kind of grouping that can be for different people, a blouse, a cool skirt, a dress, all of those things I think really help. but it is a lot. I understand that. But I think as long as you start small and build that way, but responding to people socially, and I'm talking about like when you post something on Instagram, it doesn't just go to Instagram. It goes to Twitter. It goes to everything that it can go to, it should go to. If you just more eyes all the time, and then just start building, you know, like slowly but surely, it'll go. And I think that that's how you do it. I mean, that's really how I was doing it in the beginning. I was tweeting back at people and, you know, I mean, literally like actually tweeting back at people to dress them. I would like, you know, and then obviously not everybody responds to everything. Trust me, I get no's every day, all day long. I still get no's. You just have to like move past the no's as much as you can, which is hard.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I have another question from Kelly. Do you have any advice when it comes to fighting for inclusivity in the fashion market?
My advice is it's hard. I mean, my advice to fighting it is just being aware and being on top of it and keeping up with what's happening. And if you're a designer, making sure that you're doing it, making sure you're doing diverse collections on diverse people and different backgrounds. And I think then you're part of it. You're part of the process. You're part of the movement. And you never know if someone's looking for a young designer who, you know, only makes certain things, and maybe you will, then maybe that's an article that you might get. Like, I think it just all is a trickle effect.
So we have another question. A lot of questions are coming in about your creative process.
I'm going to ask questions of every person I see on this.
I love that. You have the chance to do that too. So they're asking a lot about your creativity, your creative process, and what inspires you.
Yes. So anything and everything inspires me, literally anything. So I'm that type of designer though. I don't get stuck that it has to be one thing. It can be literally a place, a chair, a story, a book, a piece of art, anything. And that's my favorite part, is because like I like that they're random sometimes. I think that's why it's kind of interesting. But so that's that. And then I kind of start a collection, like a process. I'm a bit kind of old school. I like fabric first, and then I go to literally just like sketching a bunch of ideas. And it's like I don't do it. I mean, I have done a fabulous perfect mood board and all those things, but honestly, like it's very, you know, it's quite, I'm like, do I have a mood board? It's pretty just, I like, this is the sketch, here's a little swatch, this is what it's gonna do. And that's a little easier for me now because we've made so many things. But I will say in the beginning, like I'm a pretty big fabric to form. What does it do? So that's how I start. I know now more what fabric does, so I don't have to try as many times. Luckily, like I've made a million tulle dresses. I don't need to try to see what it's gonna do. I've made a ton of things in silk file. So I know that if I do it this way, it's gonna bubble or make volume. But you know, when you're starting out, you need to test all those things.
Jack Benford, would you recommend building a brand in today's world, waiting through the pandemic, the socioeconomic divisions, et cetera, or wait and learn from someone else first? It's a really good question.
It's such a good question. It is really the hardest challenge we're all facing. You know, do we push forward and, you know, do what we want to do and launch things? And you know, when it's always it's like such a touchy thing. Like there's people struggling, but I think, you know, unfortunately, you have to do what really is best for your world and yourself. And I think that that's the most important thing. If you feel like you really need to launch a brand or a business or start a line, because otherwise, when you wake up in the morning, you're depressed and in a dark place, then yes, that's what you should do. Like, don't let that take you to somewhere that's not good. I think that's actually what a lot of people when people comment things very quickly. Oh, why are you doing this? There's people suffering. There's always people suffering in the entire world. I mean, there's countries literally that have no food. And unfortunately, like if we're not helping them, then it's a really hard balance. So I think, but to survive yourself, because that's important, you know, do what you love, because otherwise, like, you know, our lifetime is short and you never know what can happen. So I think, especially now, you never know. I mean, people got really sick and, you know, I mean, we've all, I don't know, a lot of people have had family members pass. And I think that would be sad that not to try.
So this is a really interesting question from Maddie McMillan. What is a good mentality young designers and those entering the fashion industry should have?
Wait, say the first part again.
What is a good mentality young designers and those entering the fashion industry should have?
Ooh, I think it is, you gotta be down for anything, literally. Like you can't, it's like, you have to be so open-minded. I'm still that way because you have no idea what could be. Like you have to go into it with the most, and I know it's so hard, but you really just do. But like, when I get I mean, I had no idea that like, if I get a request to work with a brand, like, okay, I got that Lenovo project, right? I would have never then met a young, cool designer like Kate. I would have never done that. I would never have met all these young designers and seen what all there's creative talent out there. I would have, you know, you have to like, maybe it would be cool. Like, oh, it might work out. And honestly, if it doesn't work out, okay, you move on. But I think, imagine you really waste things. And that's how I've approached everything. Same with, that's why I dress so many people on the red carpet, because I have an open mind to it. I'm like, definitely, I love Cardi B. She's insane and crazy, but I'll dress her and see what happens. And now I have a great relationship with her and we get covers of magazines and, you know, and she comes to my fashion shows and she's one of the biggest stars in the world. So, but if I said no to her 5 years ago, it wouldn't be that way. So you have to go into everything with a really open mind and no judgment as much as you can. And it's very hard. And don't worry, I judge everything on the side. Just know it.
So I have another, this is such a lovely comment. Christian, I just wanted to say thank you for making clothing for everyone. As a woman of color over 40, others designers make me feel boxed in. Your brand is so freeing. And that is a lovely comment.
Thank you so much.
That is from, let me see, where is her name? Tracy.
Thanks, Tracy.
Tracy.
That's what it is. It's about, yeah, free your mind.
Free your mind. Okay, here we go. Thank you so much. Do you have any goals for you and your brand post-pandemic in 5 years or more?
Oh God, I have a million goals. They all went to die. And then now we're making new goals. Yeah, no, I had a lot of goals but now I'm making new goals. I'm really excited. You know, my interior business is new and launching and I'm really excited to like turn that into something. And that wasn't really on my goal list. And, you know, we have a lot of projects actually that weren't really on my list, but I'm super happy and proud. We're going to have a new book. That's really exciting. Yeah, I think, you know, and I hope also my goals are pretty short right now. They're pretty like, how do we get to 6 months, a year? That's how I'm doing. That's how I'm going right now. I'm sure everybody is. Yeah.
So Jacob asks, how do you go about finding creatives for your design team? It's multi-part question. How do you go about finding creatives for your design team? What do you look for in them? That's a good question. And how do we stand out when applying to big name brands such as yours?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely look for personality, you know, somebody that, you know, is confident, but also willing to learn, is very important. And I literally just look for ideas, people that have interesting ideas. It's the number one thing. Like, I I don't even really care so much about anything else anymore. I want somebody that has an interesting idea that maybe is strange and weird, but I'm like, oh, I like that mindset. That's just me personally. I'm that type of designer. Other designers probably are like, oh, I need you to be the most technical designer. I don't need that necessarily. So that's not what I look for. And then, and then obviously like, general, like, real fashion knowledge is important, like what fabrics do what, and things like that. And I think that that's pretty basic, but it is important because I throw people into the ring. Like I'm like, people start like day one and I'm like, okay, can you like make this dress? Like, here's the sketch and this is the fabric. Can you like figure it out? Because I just want to see if they
No
can.
pressure.
No pressure. But let me tell you, when they can, it's then literally if you show me you can, like the next day, like I'm literally having you make custom clothes for Lady Gaga. So like if that's what it is, if you can do it, then you get great opportunity from it.
That's amazing. Another question. Let's see who asked that question from Colin. What advice, wait, hold on, no. What decisions need to go into, this is tricky in my little box here. What decisions go into when you find trade partners outside of the country?
A lot of things, because we do work with a lot of international companies, because we get all of our fabrics from other countries. We do our due diligence. We ask a lot of questions. We, how are the payments working? How is the shipping working? Are you really going to ship on time? What's the minimums? All the things that you really have to ask. You almost have to be a little annoying at the beginning because you need to like protect yourself. And it goes with a retailer too. If a store in China says, I love your collection, I want to pick it up. What you ask everything you want to know. If you want to know literally like, when does it hit the floor? How many boxes am I allowed to send? Do I send it on hangers? You ask every question you need to ask, because otherwise you can get, I don't know, like almost like it cannot work out just because you didn't realize one thing. I've had lots of stories, guys. I remember I had an employee that was ordering, we were making some dresses in Turkey or some other country, and we placed an order for dresses. This is my favorite story. And we needed 1,000 units. Okay. He put 10,000 units.
Oh,
so they made us 10,000 units.
Oh,
and it was literally like $500,000 and like almost bankrupt my company. So therefore, also triple checking, double checking, going back on your own work is like the most important part about the business of fashion, because it's a very easy mistake. It's so easy to make such a huge mistake because it's a tangible thing. You don't think about it. So don't do that. That was a rough day. And I didn't even fire him. So that actually was probably
Did you have to take all 10,000 pieces?
We did.
Oh, wow.
I actually think, to be really honest, I think I have like 3 boxes in my warehouse still of those dresses that I don't know what I'm going to do with them. So talk about, I need to be sustainable. Maybe those dresses are going to go on the runway this season. Okay,
put them out there. We'll be ready to see them. Okay, from Dylan Eggleston, how did you discover your style and aesthetic? Or are you constantly evolving and exploring new ways to elevate your brand?
I think style and aesthetic definitely like builds over time, because you need trial and error. Like you need to figure out what you like to do. And I think I definitely figured out like things I like to do is I like to make, fantasy evening things that may not be worn all the time. And I like to make wearable clothes too, but that's what I love. I love them. It makes me feel good. It is not, and I think number one rule is you will never be everything for everybody, no matter what. So don't try. And that's why big brands are successful. YSL is YSL for a reason. That's what they do. Gucci does what they do. Everybody does what they're good at. And then you branch out, of course, but you have to figure out what you're really good at first, which is what I kind of did. I'm really good at, a very beautiful, fabulous gown, even if it's simple, but I'm good at that. But now I'm able to, now we're really good at suiting. We sell suits actually more than dresses sometimes but it took time. So that's, I think, the biggest part of it. Yeah.
So from COA, what has been the biggest challenge
See more people. No, I'm just kidding.
in the industry?
Oh God, we don't have it long enough. It is everything. Everything's a challenge. Logistics are the challenge. That is the number one challenge of this business. Being creative, making clothes, that's all fun and fabulous, but it's the logistical process of where do you get the fabric? How do you get the fabric to your office? How do you ship the clothes to the store? How do you get the salesperson to talk to the client appropriately? It is literally just logistical things that are annoying, and we have to do them. And that's the biggest challenge of this business. Then you deal with the criticism. That's the challenge. Then that's a fun challenge.
Oh, so that's a really good way to end, because we have 274 students on.
Wow.
And I think it's the way that I would like for you to end is giving them some advice about the future for them, what they could be doing now, and how to face that criticism with strength.
Yeah, I really think it's such a hard thing for all of us we really all judge so quickly these days. It's such a frustrating thing. I think, and it drives me crazy, because I really think, and I really bring it back to saying, like, about clothes, and clothes should be fun. They should make us feel good. They should make us feel something. They should be an expression of your artistic, whatever that is, idea. You have to remember that that's what that is. So I think then that's the goal for everyone to leave. If you are a designer or a graphic designer or just in fashion in general, you want to be a stylist, whatever you want to do when you leave, it's about making sure that, again, keeping that open mind, going into something fully open, and making sure you're judging yourself, but you're trying not to say, oh, but those clothes, I never want them to look like that because they're just not good. I don't think that that's the way to think about it. I think it's like, pick apart what you don't like and pick about what you do like that you can use later on. Because I'm kind of that way now. It took a little time, but I never actually look at anything and say, I hate it. It's ugly. It's disgusting. I would never see it. I just don't do it I just don't approach it that way. Mm-hmm. I don't love everything, but I'm like, you know what? I would like that if maybe it was a little shorter or the fabric was softer. That's how I think about it. And I think that's a really good advice for every young designer, that if you don't love one thing, turn it into something else that could work for you. And I think that really helps.
And I think that's a beautiful way to end. We love you, Christian Siriano. We want you to come back.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you so much for sharing so much.
Is everybody at home?
Everybody's at home.
Everybody's at home. Is everybody creating?
I think so. Everybody's creating, right?
Daniel,
professors, I see Maria Aja Herrera.
What is it?
David Longshaw. We've got lots of professors on there with their full classes. And so now they've been completely and totally inspired by you, Christian Siriano. So we want you to come back anytime and just.
And I think if you're, at home and you're doing your work and doing your classes, but I think it's make as much as possible that you can, because it really helps you get through the trial and error process. Sit at home or on the weekend and make 10 skirts, and you'll find one that's really cool. You will. So I think that's a really great way to remember, don't give up on that one piece just because you didn't love it. Keep it going into the next.
Great advice.
Yeah.
It's wonderful advice. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
and
guys.
Please
have a good day.
Join us on Friday the 15th for conversation with actor Greg Grunberg. Christian, you're welcome to join us as well. And
Love
thank
it.
you so much for your time and for sharing so much of your personal time and space with us.
Anytime, anytime. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Sorry, I just wanted to say hi. My mom would kill me if I didn't.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Tell mom I say hi. Tell
Will
all the
do.
tell all the moms and dads I say hello. Because you know I love a mom.
Bye, Christian.
Oh, I
Thank
just
you.
realized I can click the pages to see people.
Yes, you can see there's now
Guys.
some of them are going back to class, but there
Oh,
were,
I know.
how many
Okay.
were on today, Alex?
Oh, more than 300.
We had more than
300 plus.
300. Oh,
Meanwhile,
yeah.
my one thing is, I will tell you, I am not tech savvy, so there you go. All right, bye guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.